Hello everyone, my name is Nikki, and if you're a regular viewer of the TVI channel, you will know me as Mrs. TVI. I don't have a car, but I do have a GoPro and an interest in history, architecture, but more specifically, cemeteries. It's time to see where I am and what I'm getting up to in my corner of the TVI channel today. Morning everybody, Mrs. TVI here, looking a bit red-faced and windswept. It's a windy, wintry morning here in Middle Rasen. So I thought today I'd do a little video which takes in a couple of places in Middle Rasen, and also we're going to be visiting Market Rasen a bit later. We're currently at the Church of St Peter and St Paul in Middle Rasen, and we can't get into the church, but I did just want to share with you this beautiful tympanum doorway. So let me just turn the camera around and you'll be able to see. Just look at that. Isn't that fabulous? And it's protected in this church porch here, which we've also got a war memorial, so it's protected from the elements. But just how gorgeous is that? It's just, it looks, you know, it's pretty much intact. I can't see much signs of wear and tear on it, which is great. But yeah, unfortunately, said door is locked. But I'm here with this guy.
Hi.
And we're going to have a bit of a walk round. There is a church in this village that has been demolished, but the churchyard still exists. So we're going to take a look at that. And apologies, I'm chomping on a mint. So we'll catch you in a little while. So as I said, it is quite windy here, so I do apologise if the sound quality isn't great. I found a Commonwealth War Grave in this churchyard, but let's just pan around and show you what I can see. So there is the church, and this is the churchyard, and over there's a further extension to it. But let's have a look at this one here. So it's no surprise in this part of Lincolnshire we've got a Royal Air Force pilot, Victor Albert East, 4th of June 1942. This is not a surprise considering the amount of airfields and air bases around in this area. And I can see another one there, so let's just go and take a look. Oh, that wind game is strong today. Right, let's go take a peek at this one. So this one, it says TCS Blanchard, 14th Training Reserve BN, 15th of February 1917. So this one being First World War, with the other one being Second. But yeah, we're going to go and have a look and see if there's anything else we can see in this churchyard, but if not, we will move on. So let's go and see what we can find. Okay, so this plaque just explains the addition of 2,151 square yards made to the churchyard by voluntary subscription of the land owners and ratepayers of Middle Rasen to commemorate the Diamond Jubilee of Her Majesty Queen Victoria in 1897. But I mean, looking at this footpath is like a split. On this side, everything seems to be much older, and on this side things are much newer, hence me standing at the back of the headstones. You can clearly see kind of the difference, although there are one or two graves that sort of are mixed in that bit, which do look a tad bit older. But then again, there are in this section some graves that are a little bit newer. So yeah, so it's quite an expensive ground this. It's going to be a number of years before this one's full, I can certainly see. A nice drive round area here. And then going around here, we're back towards the back of the church. I don't know if you can see, but there's a rather large memorial just here. And the people who are commemorated or buried there were very much well travelled. We saw places in Detroit, in New Zealand. Quite interesting, really. I always say that gravestones tell a story, and that one certainly does. Okay, so welcome back to Middle Rasen, and here we are in, I believe was the site of the old church here in Middle Rasen. And the church is long gone, but the cemetery remains, and it's now a haven for wildlife and is cared for in that manner. I know I didn't spend long at St. Peter's and St. Paul's, but I did want to come here and just spend a little time here. It's a beautiful wildlife garden, so I'm going to have a look and have a few, read a few stones, I think, as well. So let me just show you what I can see. So this little graveyard is now beautifully described as God's Acre. But let's take a look. So let's go for this one here. So it's for William Fowler, who died April 6, 1896. And next to him is Catherine, his wife, who died in 1880, aged just 51. And then there's Thomas and Martha, possibly children of the two previous William and Catherine, who died in 1906 and 1909 respectively. So yeah, quite young people there. What we got here? 1877, this one. So this is Elizabeth Willows. She is not dead but sleepeth. What a nice way to put things. So like I said, as you can see, it is being maintained as like a wildlife garden, because you can see some of the stones here are very covered in ivy and holly and moss and whatever else. But there is a little path around here. The only difficulty is I don't know whether or not I'm actually standing on a grave or not. It's very difficult because of the overgrown nature of this cemetery. But it's a beautiful little place, slightly raised from the road. The road, you can see, the road is just sort of just here. And we've got a gorgeous thatched cottage there in the background. Let's see if we can get a little shot of that. Beautiful flowers and things in this churchyard as well, wildflowers, daffodils and snowdrops and things that have come out. And there you go. Very pretty thatched cottage there. As we walk up this other path, we've got another 1800s grave here. William Boynton, December 10th, 1887, age 66, and Ellen, his wife, who died July 29th, 1906, until the day, dawn and the shadows flee away. And there's another Boynton there in the next door. And what's this one? There's a tiny one here, look. Now this looks like a child. I don't know if we can see anything on the marker. Robert Parker, aged 7, who died in 1860 something, 1864. There's just one there for a small child. And here's TVI, come to do a couple of shots of his own. But yeah, what a lovely little cemetery, lovely little find this is. Let's carry on around the Rasens. Ooh, so I'm reliably informed by that dude that this house, this thatched cottage, is the old vicarage to the church that used to stand here. I'm just going to show you the sign about God's Acre here. You can pause the video and take a look. So there we go. Are we ready to carry on, mister?
Yeah.
Let's go. So here comes part 2 of today's video. So we've gone from Middle Rasen and we are now in Market Rasen, and I'm at the church. It's in the middle of town. I don't know who it's dedicated to yet because Andy's not told me. But we're going to go and take a look and see what we can find. There's also a cemetery here, so we're going to have a bit of a cemetery wander too, which then just nicely joins up those two villages. So let's go and see what we can find. I know I look terrible, I look out of breath, I look windswept. This town's quite noisy as well. It's a very busy thoroughfare, so I'm quite pleased to sort of get back a little bit from the main road and a little bit of peace, but I'm sure we'll find it in this church. Who's it dedicated to, Andy?
I can't remember. St. Thomas.
Thomas. Church of St. Thomas, so let's go see what we can find. So I have to say, for the Rasens, we're not doing terribly well. That church is also locked. I'm going to have a quick look in the graveyard and see if I can see any interesting plots. And straight away, as we've come around the back of the church, there's quite a big obelisk here. So let's just walk up and have a look. It says, within this enclosure rest the remains of the Reverend Matthew Barnett and Mary his wife, and those of their 2 daughters, Mary and Anne, all of whose deaths are recorded on the tablet within the church, 1895. And of course we can't get into the church to see the tablet, unfortunately. As you can see, it's quite an extensive churchyard, but there's not very many markers, so just wondering whether markers have been swept away to make a sort of a wildlife area. I wouldn't think for one second that this area is devoid of remains, because it's a churchyard and it's higher level than the road that runs past. So very little to see actually here, but there is, as we say, there is a cemetery, so we're going to go and find that and take a look. What say you, Andy?
Yes, I do say that's a good idea.
So the sun has come out, although behind me you can see some black clouds, but we have made it to the main Market Rasen cemetery. And excuse me sort of not looking at the camera, but I'm just looking around at this place because it's fantastic. I mean, it's huge. It is one big cemetery. But we've got lots of recent stuff in here again, so again I'm going to be as respectful as I usually am when we've got recent interments. But the first thing I come across here is a Commonwealth War Grave, and this one, let's get a little bit closer, is for Lance Corporal W.A. Cantwell, Lincolnshire Yeomanry, 18th of November 1919, aged 36, and that feels like a marble headstone. It looks like a relatively new one. It's just absolutely beautiful, I have to say. And then we've got quite a lot of cremation graves. So the path I'm walking along here on the left hand side are all sort of cremation sections. But after I've been in this bit, I'm going to go across the road to the other bit because there's a very old cemetery there. But let's look around this one first. Let's see if we can see anything that sticks out at us memorial wise. You know me, I like to go for the interesting ones. Let me take a walk, and if I spot something, I'll turn the camera back on. Okay, so this grave is for a Justice of the Peace, Robert William Pindar JP, who died the 4th of April 1915. That was Easter morning, in his 62nd year, according to the inscription on his tombstone there. And then here, right next to him, we have another war grave, and this one is for Private P. Lawton, the York and Lancaster Regiment, aged just 22, passed away in September 1916. Let's just go along this row here and see if anything else sticks out. There's lots of, you know, grave sort of cuts, but without a standing headstone, which is something a little bit, you know, not as common nowadays. The people tend to put a memorial stone up these days. It's starting to rain rather annoyingly. But I'll tell you what, let's go across. There's a Celtic cross there. Let's go and have a look at that. And when we finish, we'll go and take a look at the older section of the cemetery. So here we are at the Celtic cross, and I can see it's beautifully carved. don't know if you can sort of see the work at the top there. These crosses and these knots are just beautiful. And this is for Edward Arthur Parker, passed away December 19th, 1932, aged 61. And him and his wife are in this grave. Let's see what we've got round the back here. Now this headstone, you can't really read anything from it, but the inscription, the workmanship to get, you can see there's like, it's almost like drilled holes. I wonder if there was leading in there that's come off. It looks like it, because I can see that we've got some letters there. It's a great shame. The ground's quite springy in here. I have to be watching my step. Lots of new interments up there, as I'm sure that you can see over the back, so I'm not going to head up there. I do apologise again for the wind. There's not an awful lot I can do with it. It's windy, it's fresh, it's raining, and the sun is out. And oh, it's an unusual war grave here. This is Polish forces. Now I'm not even going to try and pronounce, although I can see it is D. Kulimski, 1946, Polish forces. And then dead across the path from him, we've got Sergeant F. Cocking, Royal Air Force, a Captain C.A.J. Nicholson, Irish Guards, and at the end an unknown soldier. So here we have an unknown soldier, an airman of the 1939 to 45 war, Royal Air Force. Let's go across the road and take a look in, oh gosh, sorry about that, it's the rain. But yeah, let's go take a look over the road in the other cemetery, because there's a lot of old markers in there. This rain's getting heavy. So the rain really has sort of started to come down for a few minutes there. Right, I'm across the road. There's another area of the cemetery which has a mortuary chapel, by the look of it, or a workman's hut, depending on your view of this. Covered in ivy, boarded up, but these graves are so much older. And look at the path here. You know, the path has mossed over so much. That's how old this cemetery is. But just look at some of these markers, and look at that one here. Isn't that just quite something? It's like a night cross there. I think it's night cross. You can't read the markers, unfortunately. They are so very worn away in here. Oh, there's a few molehills knocking about in this cemetery too. I don't want to end up going for a burn. Now this looks like the remains of another chapel. It's certainly big enough to be a chapel. I reckon that it's got to be the remains of another chapel. It must be, surely, in the middle of a cemetery like this. A large area outlined in brick. Or is it a house, or would it have been a sexton's house? They've tried to put some coping stones on the low wall here to make it look like it's a natural wall that's meant to be there, but it's not. It's clearly not. I tell you, I bet some of these graves haven't been visited in many a year. The paths in here are all full of springy moss. I mean, this is obviously a burial here, an interment here, but there's no way we can see, you know, who's in there. But, you know, wow, I can't believe how old this place looks. Although we have got a war grave in here, I can see one. G.E. Smith, Royal Army Service Corps, 1919. Got a couple of larger monuments over here. Oh, we can read this one. Elizabeth, the wife of Joshua Harrison, who died in 1865. So that is obviously quite a fairly old grave there. And then there's this big marker here. That's huge. And this is for the Robinsons. So it looks like, from what I can see on this marker here, that this burial ground is actually the Wesleyan Chapel burial ground. Or rather, this person was interred in the Wesleyan Chapel burial ground. So maybe that's what the brick building was. Is this a Wesleyan Chapel burial ground, do you think?
Well, I haven't researched it yet, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll have to find the answer and put it in the box below. But this one was very recently covered. But obviously the clue with what's on here could explain what's over there. Okay. Some of these monuments obviously quite damaged as well. I mean, this one is literally falling apart. The top is missing from that one. Sometimes you actually see them laying within the grave, but I can't see anything. But yeah, so another churchyard here, full of large monuments. Oh, Star of David. Now this could be interesting. Have we got somebody of Jewish origin buried in here? That's clearly a Star of David, isn't it? I'm guessing we will have to be doing some research on this cemetery. But yeah, it's been an interesting, interesting one to have a look round. But see, I've always said about cemeteries that they tell a story and the clues are in what you can see on the gravestones, and that's certainly been the case today. If this is what remains of a Wesleyan chapel, then that gravestone over there makes sense. I'm going to go and get out of the rain because I feel very soggy and I'm tired. We've been walking around for a long time today, so this is where I'm going to leave the video. But yeah, so thanks for watching, and if you've got anything to add, do pop a comment down below. If you know anything about this smaller cemetery out here in Market Rasen, obviously do let us know. Thanks for watching. Bye bye for now.